Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another political episode. Today, we're talking about Massachusetts. Massachusetts has a handful of ballot measures we're going to be talking about. Not much as like Colorado and California, but it does have a decent amount. So let's go ahead and get into this. So let's talk about question one. And question one has to do with some specific office, and as you can see, it's about the state auditor's office. And the clause, it reads specifically, this proposal would give new powers to the state auditor, letting the office inspect the accounts, programs, and activities of the state legislative body without needing consent. Now, what is the office of the state auditor? A lot of people can get it confused with the state treasurer. Isn't that the same thing, different title? So let's go ahead. What does the state auditor do? Okay? So it says here, as an independent chosen external auditors, financial controllers, inspectors general, America's state auditors exist to safeguard public finances from misappropriation and maladministration, whatever that's called. In short, their work combats corruption, keeps government accountable for the efficient and effective use of tax dollars. Makes sense when it comes to that. So that is the state auditor's office and what that is. So basically this ballot measure is saying, hey, do you want to give more power to the state auditor's office? And this specifically saying, hey, this would be giving them permission to inspect the accounts and programs and activities of the legislative body without consent, meaning without permission from the said legislator. And 71% saying yes to this ballot measure. There's no liberal conservative. It's kind of hard to see. What we can do is see which towns supported it the most, which towns didn't support it. So Somerville is the town that supported it the most, 76%. Not know where the city of Somerville is. It's in this collection in eastern Massachusetts. Western Massachusetts, sure, you could say a pattern here, like Boston, 74%. I would say ideally more liberal cities have, of course, more support of this. But, of course, you'll see the city that's not so amused by this is going to be one of these two cities, I want to believe. That is specifically Beckett. This is right here, and I don't know, is it in... It's hard to know the counties of Massachusetts, but it's in one. I don't think it's in Hampton County, but Beckett, Massachusetts, 54% to 46%, very unpopulated county, supporting this ballot measure by 54%. That said, every town supported this ballot measure. Not one voted against it. Okay, so let's take a look at question two. Question two specifically asks voters to remove MCA tests as high school graduation requirements. So MCA, as you should know, are certain tests that, of course, that are required. In some states, you are required to take an MCA. In Minnesota, you don't have to. And for instance, it's not required, but it's really up to the school to decide. In Massachusetts, it is, of course, required, but not anymore, as 59% of said people voted to remove it, which is stupid. I'm going to tell you this. We need our kids to get smarter, not dumber, okay? A lot of people say, oh, what if people flunk it? Would they graduate? Of course they will. Eventually they'll get out of high school, and I guarantee you the teachers and the schools have support for these kids. They have support for these kids. And ultimately, I'm going to tell you this. They're going to graduate like everyone else. You flunk it, oh well. You try again. and you try harder, and guess what? You have your parents, you got your teachers behind you. And apparently, Massachusettsans, whatever you want to call them, a lot of them, 59% say, we just feel bad for these students. There's just so much on their mind. Yeah, that's life. It's life. People my age, they are working. They're going to college. They have no free time. They go to college. They go to work. They go to bed. They get up and they go back to college. That's life. I understand that these people want to make life a little bit more easier. Oh, get rid of the MCA. What? So? But here's the deal. In a time, in an era where our kids are getting dumber and not that smart, and they're failing, and the last thing you want to do is remove tests that help kids excel, that help kids get smarter. So obviously, this one was a bit controversial. Woke Massachusetts obviously approved it. The yes option got support from Shutesbury, Massachusetts. And I would say it's mainly over here, it looks like. Even Boston's not so confident about this. No, you'll see, is mainly getting in supports of 66% from Weston, Massachusetts. Weston, right here. It's a liberal city, so that's why it does depend. The conservatives aren't supporting it, liberals aren't supporting it. It's mixed results because you're seeing. And really, there's no such thing as a conservative city. I mean, it's very hard to find a conservative city in Massachusetts. We can even go up and see, let's just see, right here, Northampton County. Northampton, city of Northampton, a city that voted for Kamala Harris. Elizabeth Warren, 87%, 85%. Even in the metro area, you'll see Weston, that city supported, where's Weston? Yeah, it's 70%. It really doesn't matter which way it goes. Even Boston's kind of tossed up. So my theory, our kids are failing. And the reason why they're failing is we are not going hard on them enough. And that's why we need to put more tests, more pressure. Here's the deal. Ultimately, we don't want them to break down out of stress. That's not what we're trying to do. But when you have kids that are flunking and failing tests, that's not a sign to stop giving them tests. It means crank it up with the studying. That is what it means. And question 3, allow transportation network drivers to unionize. Obviously, this one's going to be, unionize transportation. This one's interesting. This one had a lot of opposition. You'll see a lot of towns, most towns in Massachusetts, woke Massachusetts, may I add, voted against it. A lot of towns, but of course, 54.1% supported this. So this proposal would allow rideshare drivers, like those who work for Uber, to join a labor union. So basically unionize, in other words. And the pro-union Democrats, they're pretty tossed up here. They're not all of them are committing here. 54%, you'll see. Boston, 66%. Not the number we're used to seeing for a very liberal city. But, of course, you'll see over here, Western Massachusetts, very liberal. Even in the metro here, very liberal here. The town that supported it the most, that's Amherst. Amherst, Massachusetts, not Boston. Oh, right here. Amherst, 77% in support of the ballot measure. Town that voted against it the most would be 61% in Rochester. Right here in Plymouth County. It's become a very conservative county, competitive with Bristol County. Trump almost won neighboring Bristol County right here. And I want to believe this county actually, it's looking like Plymouth and Bristol County both voted against this said. Let's see if they have a map. Do you think they have a map? I don't think they added 2024 maps. Did they add 2024 maps for Massachusetts? I doubt that is the case. unfortunately. But what I am assuming now, that obviously Plymouth is in support of this ballot measure, except for the city of Brockton, which I want to believe is a part of the Plymouth County. But what it's looking like right now, this is the results. Even Bristol's in support. But yes, Massachusetts voted in support of this. Uber riders can now, or just rideshare drivers, they can unionize in the state of Massachusetts. So let's take a look at question 4. Legalize psychedelic substances. And we got to look at this. It looks like conservatives actually won a ballot measure in psychedelic. Conservatives also, for once, won a ballot measure in Massachusetts. So I'm wondering when it comes to this. So this proposal would allow people 21 and over to grow, use, and possess the following substances: whatever those substances are called. This substance, mescaline and ibogaine, whatever that substance. These psychedelic drugs would only be available for purchase at approved locations and for use while a licensed facilitator supervises. And wow, we got a lot. Landslide. No. And it's surprising because Massachusetts is a state that legalized recreational marijuana by a lot. I mean, generally, the stereotype of a person from Vermont and Massachusetts is this old clown with his gay pride banner living in a shelter, like a hut down in the Appalachian Hills, smoking weed. That's pretty much my take on a Massachusetts. Now, if you're from Massachusetts, that's not an insult to you. Not an insult to anyone from Massachusetts. It's just how I imagine people from Massachusetts. It's something to be laughing about, really. I'm sure a lot of people think of crazy stuff about Minnesotans. But yes, Massachusetts definitely, you'll see, is in support and rejected about question 4, which would prohibit the use of said, allow people to grow and use these said substances. So obviously that has been rejected. The city that voted no the most is Wellessie. The city of Wellessie. That's at 68% of the vote. Yes is Wendell, 68% of the support here. I think that's in Franklin County, Massachusetts. Wendell, 68% in support of the ballot measure at hand here. So this is what it's looking like right now. Wendell in support. Okay. Question 5, increase minimum wage of tipped employees. Massachusetts, look at you guys go. They're saying no. 64.1% saying no, do not increase the minimum wage. Taxes are just so high enough in Massachusetts, and that's the last thing. And this is like California. California went all out and rejected the increase of minimum wage, which is actually very base. All these left-wing states ruled by authoritarian left-wing governors, they are saying they're cracking hard and they're refusing to double down on these ballot measures. You'll see this proposal would gradually raise the tipped minimum wage over a 5-year period, starting with an increase to 64% of the state minimum wage on January 1st, 2025, and ending with a match to 100% on January 1st, 2029. Obviously, this ballot measure, 64.1, that's a huge of course, no when it comes to that. No, of course. And then guess what? Coincidentally, would increase to 64%, 64.1%. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. You be the judge of that. But obviously, the city that supported this, even Boston voted no. It's actually 50-50. Let's see. 50-50 actually yeah, no, technically Boston voted no by less than like 20 votes. You got to go and help no in Boston. But yes, this is a huge accomplishment. No got mostly support from the city of Pembroke, Massachusetts. And Pembroke, I would assume one of the most conservative in like Plymouth and Bristol. Is that where it is? I'm not going to go out of my way and look it up and see which county it's from, but I can tell you right now, Pembroke is the city. Of course, in a battle of interest with the city of Hanson on the city that voted and slammed this ballot measure to the ground the most. But yes, that is the result there. So 64.1% in support of not in support, 35% in support of this ballot measure from the city of Egremont, 77%, and Egremont right here in county right there. Is it Westchester? I think Westchester is in the middle, but I don't know. Egremont, 77% of the popular vote. It's an influence, you could say. Yeah, it's by New York, bordered with New York. But yeah, 77%. Pretty big mandate there. But yeah, I'm proud of Massachusetts for actually sticking up to the left-wing lunacy. But anyway, what do you guys think in regards to these ballot measures? I think Republicans did and conservatives did very well in the essence that we took out a ballot measure that would have really, really blew up Massachusetts even worse. Yeah, I'm guessing, and usually minimum wage is a big supportive issue, big issue. But it looks like, hey, you know what? Minimum wage, not a good idea right now, but we're living in these times when it comes to recession, inflation, stagflation, and all these different periods. And ultimately, Massachusettsans, probably the most wokest and most liberal out of all the U.S. states, they came out and they said no in a huge mandate here. And ultimately, an impressive one by fact. So what do you guys think in regards to Massachusetts and their ballot measures? Let me know down below. And as always, I will see you all in the next political episode.